Welcome to ICT Kenya. Today we'll crack database normalization using a real KCSE 2010 paper. Grab the paper from the first comment and follow along. So let's make this easy. Question 1 is Mr. Kiprop Onyango owns houses for rent. Table 1 below is a record of his tenant's rent payment. You can see a table made up of tenant ID, tenant name, house number, month, and amount. The task is create a database file that can be used to store the above data and name it as rent. Now, databases can be created using software like MySQL, Oracle, or even Microsoft Access. For this lesson, we'll use Microsoft Access. So let's check it, Access. And then select New, and then we've got a blank database here. Then from the window which appears, you're going to type your name here, and it should be rent. And then be keen on the location of your file. Mine will be saved in Documents folder by default. I want to change it to Desktop. And then click OK, and then Create. And by default, one table will be created. You don't need this, you just close. Question 2. Create two tables, one to store tenant details and the other to store tenant rent. Name the tables as tenants and payments. That's where the main task is. We've got tenant ID, name, house number, month, and amount. The task is to allocate these fields in different tables. First of all, we have got table 1 should be details and the table 2 payment. Now let us check about tenant details. We've got tenant ID and tenant name, house number, month, and amount. Obvious, tenant name will be part of the details. So here we have name of this tenant, will be ID part of this name. For example, in January, Akinyi's ID was 2019. But we can see in February, Akinyi's ID is 2090. So this means tenant ID is not specific ID to tenant. It is an ID or an ID you are given when you pay the rent. So it is sufficient for us to say that tenant ID is just like record number and not part of personal details. Therefore, in payment details, we are going to have tenant ID. The other thing we need to check is tenant name versus house number. In January, Akinyi's house number is A1, and in February, Akinyi's house is A1. So it is sufficient for us to say that this house belongs to Akinyi. Therefore, this will be house number. Let us check again. House and the amount of money paid. House A1 receives 3,000. You should pay 3,000 for that house. Again, A1, you pay 3,000. A2, you pay 4,000. For A2, you pay 4,000. So you can see that the amount paid for each house is fixed. So we can also add it here, rent, or else amount. Now, it is obvious that month will be part of this. Tenant ID and then month will be part of this. So do we have any remaining fields? No. But the other thing we need to check is both these two tables are related because we are working with a relational database. For table 1, name will be the primary key, and table 2, tenant ID will be the primary key, because only name identifies each tenant uniquely in this column, in this database. And tenant ID identifies each person after paying the rent. But this is a relational database. That means tenant and payment should be related. So we need to use this primary key here in the second table and use it as foreign key. In other words, a foreign key is usually a primary key of another table, and mostly it is used to create relationship between tables. I hope this point is clear. So this is how we are going to break down our tables. To create a table, it is usually very simple. You go to design, table design, and type the columns here, as you can see. Like for the case of tenants, you can set primary key to be tenant name and save this table as tenants. The same will apply to the payments. Again, tenant ID here will be our primary key. Then save it as payments. And that is how you break down a table into two. Hence, the process of normalization. Challenge. Suppose the question was, break down the table into three tables, that is, tenants, payments, and houses. How could you have done it? Let me know through the comment section. In the next section, we are going to handle data type of each column. Let's start with tenants. For tenant name, let it remain to be short text. For house number, we've got A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. So instead of typing each every time, we can create a lookup wizard here from A1 to C2. So how do we create lookup wizard? Just click here and then select lookup wizard. Then there will be two options here. I want the lookup field to get values from another table, or I will type the values I want. I want this. Then next, type those values, and we can see our values are A1, A2, B1, B1, C2. That's how you do it. Then next, and limit to the list, and then you finish. Then for the amount, let us check amount again. For the amount, you can see it is a 3 followed by comma and then 3 zeros. You can set this as currency and then save. Let us check the result. But for currency, there will be this prefix Kenya shillings. To remove it, we are going to format from currency to another format, which is maybe standard or fixed. Standard will be applied better. And then save. Let us check again. Yeah, this is what we want. Done with this table, save changes. Let us check payments. Again, for payments, we're going to have tenant ID made up of 4 digits. Therefore, we can limit the number of entries to 4 digits. That is where field size comes. Set it to 4. Then we've got tenant name. Tenant name belongs to another table. Therefore, we're going to apply something called lookup wizard and select lookup wizard. Last time we used, I will type the values I want, but for this case, I want the lookup field to get the values from another table. And the name of this table is tenant, where I'm going to get the values. And the values I need from this table is tenant name. And then you can choose to sort them. And then next, if I had typed the values, you could have seen them here. And next, enable data integrity. The main reason why enable data integrity is that when you are creating a table, when you are trying to use lookup wizard, you will have created a relationship in the table. So meaning that after this process is over, we will have answered question 3, which is create a relationship between the two tables. So finish, and a relationship will be created. You can see the table must be saved before relationship can be created. Save now. Yes. And then the month. Let us check anything about the month. We've got only 3 months, January, February, and March. Can apply lookup here and choose lookup wizard. I will type the values I want and then type them here, and then next and limit to this list, and then finish. And then close. Save. Yes. Now let us confirm whether truly the relationship was created. Here is it. It was created. Tenant being linked to tenant name. So let me close. And that is how we do question 3. That is create a relationship between two tables. So the next question is design a form to be used to enter data into each of the two tables. Now, when it comes to form design or even creation, I prefer making use of lookup form wizard. For payments, go to wizard, then select all. Next, I prefer using tabular. It's easy to enter data. Then next, you can save it as payments FRM and then finish. And this is how it will look like. For tenants, select the table tenants, create, form wizard, add both fields, next, tabular, next, rename FRM, and then finish. Now, the next challenge is on data entry. Are we supposed to start capturing details for payments or tenants? The answer is simple, tenants. Reason, we cannot have payments if we don't have tenants. We must have tenants so that later they may make payment. Got it? It's logical, it's like that. Now let's open tenants and capture data into that table. Tenants form and then capture data. Secret on capturing tenants details. The main reason why we normalize this information is to avoid duplicates in primary keys. In our new table tenants, tenant name is our primary key. But we can see Akin is here, another Akin. We have Mutua and Mutua here. This is duplicate. So to solve this problem, just capture all the details until you find a duplicate of that data. Every record here, in other words, should appear once. Akinyi once, Maloi once, Duta once, Rob, and so on. How? I hope you can see Akinyi, Maloi, Duta, Rob, Mutua, and the last person will be Kagu. Then ignore the rest. Then for the house number, just capture down their respective house numbers. For example, Akinyi's house number is A1. Select from this list. Next person is A2. The other one is B1. The other one is B2. The other one is C1. The other one is C2. For B1, 4,500. For B2, 4,500. For C1, 4,000. For C2, 3,500. And that's how you capture details for tenants table. Save and close this form and try to open the tenants table and you'll be able to see all the records here. We are done with the table 1. Table 2 is payment form. In this case, again, the primary field is ID. We're going to capture all the records, all the IDs, and their related records until we find a duplicate. And good luck is that in tenant ID, we don't have duplicates. So it means you're going to capture every detail on tenant ID and tenant name and month. So let's go on. And this marks the end of data entry. Save the records and close the form. Open payments and confirm the details. They are exactly as required. Then close all. Go to the next question, which is create a report showing the total amount or the amount Mr. Onyango received from each tenant, the total for each month, and the total amount he received over the 3 months. The report should be titled Rent Income and save the report as income. Now, to create a report, we need to identify the required columns. For example, we need the tenant name. We also need to know amount paid, especially, and also the month. Are we able to get this from one table? Let's check from payment. Tenant name, month, but we don't have the amount paid. Amount paid is in tenants. If all the details were in the same table, we could have created the report direct. But now, The required details are in different tables. That means we must create a query first to join these two tables. So from query design, add both tables and add the required details. For example, we need tenant name, the month, and the amount paid, and then run the query. This is the details you need, and then you can save this as, what's the name of the report? Income. We can save this as, so we can save this one as income query. Then save. Now we're going to use the same query to create the required report. So from report wizard, select query, income query, add all the columns, and then next. Then how do you want to view your data? We have been told we need total amount received, he received over the 3 months, and we need total for each month. Therefore, we are going to view by, not by amount, but by payment, so that we may select month. Then we select group by month. So month 1, tenant name and amount received. Then next, we don't need to apply sorting, and then from there, choose any of this. N is okay, step is okay, and then next, save it as income. Income, and then finish. This is the report we're going to have for February. This is what we have for January and for March. But the question is, we want also the total amount received for the 3 months. So to compute for the total, right-click the report and open in Design View. Then go to Group and Sort. Then after Group and Sort, you can see this bar here. Click More. Then under with no totals, select Totals on Amount. Then type, it will be sum. In case you can see this count, not sum, just go back to your tenants and confirm the data type you applied in amount, whether it is currency. If it is not currency, it will not be the way we want it to be in this case. So totals on amount, we use sum, then show grant total and subtotal in group footer, and that's all. Let's view the report. And this is what is required. February, this month collected 19K, January 20K, and March 3,500, and total 42,500 shillings. Okay, create a query named statement to extract Maloi's record of rent payment. So we need to get Maloi's data on payment. And if we can get them from one table, then that's okay. Here we can get all, but we don't have the amount he paid. Therefore, we need a query from the two tables. Add both tables and get the name, tenant name, month, and amount this person paid. Well, and this is right. Save it as statement. Then the next question is, we need it to extract Maloi's record alone. Maloi paid on January and on February. And therefore, we go back to query design and enter tenant's name, where name and criteria intersect, we type Maloi like that, and then run the query, and we'll be able to see this is the amount this person paid. And then next question, create a report named tenant statement showing Maloi's rent payment history. The report should be titled as tenant statement. So we're going to use the same query to create this report. So we're going to select statement, add all these columns, then next, and then after that, go to next, then from there, next, and then from there, next, then from there, finish. And here is the query. Let me close and rename it. The name of the query should be tenant statement. Tenant statement. And then after that, print the two tables and the two reports. So to print a table, you just open the table, go to File, Print, then select your printer here. Select out of this list depending on your printer. But meanwhile, I will not print, I'll just convert my document to PDF using this option, Microsoft to PDF. Then from there, click OK. And save it maybe on the desktop as payment. The same happens to tenants. Just give us a view on how our document will look like once printed. Here is it. Tenant statement will appear like this. Then income will appear like this on the printed paper. And then we've got tenants details. Here, this is tenants table. And tenants payment will appear like this. So asante sana for watching ICT Kenya. If umelearn kitu leo, make sure umesubscribe, like na pia ucomment below. And if you really want to support this channel, usisahau kupiga ile thanks button. Hii ndo inatusaidia kuendelea kufanya more videos kama hii. So until next time, keep learning and keep growing.